Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is my friend Brian from A Poet.
Hi,
Hi,
how's it
Brian.
going? Yes, I
We
am a poet and I know it.
have we have Isabella Sutton here, and married in Arkansas, and
How's it
eating
going?
pizza. So, welcome everybody in. And Brian is having some rain and kind of stormy weather there in where he's at. So
Yep.
hopefully it won't affect the internet any.
I have I do have a lot backwoods internet. Sometimes it we'll just wing it. Whatever happens, happens.
Okay. All right. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your channel and how you got started and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, where do we start? Someone you know Kim from My Other's Keeper.
Yes.
She described me as a plate of spaghetti. you,
Okay.
you you pick one noodle and it threads out and it just leads you to this. I've had an interesting life. Let's just put it that way. I've had an interesting life. I
Okay.
was born. I was born in and the reason I say it, that Chinese curse, "May you live in interesting times."
Yes.
Well, on a personal level, it's "May you have an interesting life." No, I was born in West Virginia. Okay,
Okay.
um, up Appalachia, Scotch Irish, German stock, all that stuff. So I come from hillbillies, and I was raised in Central Arkansas. So I was red. I joke and say I'm hillbilly stock, redneck raised,
Okay.
but slightly cosmopolitan. You know, but yeah, I was born in 1972, which means I just turned 53. So but of course they say 50s is the new 30s, so I'm still sort of having fun.
Yes.
And then um, yeah, so 19, and then I was born in 72. We moved here to a little bitty town called Enola in northeast. It's in Here's Little Rock. If you think of the central part of Arkansas, in the center is Little Rock. If you go a little slightly north and east, is where Enola is. So it's out in the middle of nowhere, which I like. Makes it inconvenient to get like Taco Bell or something like that. But I like my elbow room. Anyways, I was lived here most of my life. My parents split when I was 4. Lots of chaos, alcohol fueled violence. A lot of the stuff they say about the dysfunctional families and all that crap leading to psychological problems, this, that, and the other. Yeah, textbook right here. Um, and so I except for 3 years when my mom was married to a guy in the army. When I lived out in North Carolina, I've lived here most of my life. I was in the Navy for almost 12 years and lived in San Antonio for a couple of years after that. Came back here in 2017 to help a buddy of mine who was homebound with his prostate cancer treatments. Got a divorce and stayed here.
All right. Sounds
Yeah, and
sounds
then
good.
as far as YouTube and all that stuff, writing because I am a poet. Writing that started. I started really writing in earnest poetry and stuff. Honestly, I turned 16 and I used to use smokeless tobacco. I've been addicted to nicotine all my life. And I decided to quit dipping. And I can say I haven't had any smokeless tobacco since I was 16. I discovered marijuana when I was 17, and then started smoking cigarettes to cover up the smell of that. So
Oh, okay.
go figure. But in order to get myself, in order to get over the withdrawals, in order to get over the withdrawals of nicotine, to get my mind off of it, I started banging away on this. I had this ugly yellow IBM electric typewriter that my mom got me because I was taking typing, and so I could practice. And I started banging away, writing, and it kind of went from there. I really didn't know I was a poet until my early 20s. When I was in college, trying to find myself, I was trying to find myself and get laid. So it was like, it was like it kind of distracted me from my studies and all that other stuff. I should have been concentrating on at the time, but I did discover that I like to write, and I was okay at it, I guess. Maybe I don't know. It's one of those things. I wrote a lot, annoyed a lot of people. most of it was bad, but I can say that these days now. Very few. I have very few from that period in my life. Things actually survive. Some of them are in here. I'll read some of them if you want me to.
Yeah.
And then I got a pizza. Poet does poet stuff. Yes, poets. Hey, talk about some good poets right here. We got DJ Nico. He's a damn good poet. And Eat More Pizza. He's a freaking awesome poet too. So I just started writing. Like I said, I started writing in my 20s. Tried to find myself. Blah blah blah. It's just typical interesting stuff. Did smoked a lot of weed, did drugs, this, that, or the other. Went through school for a while. Got out. I dropped out in my in my early 20s. And I remember promising my mom that I would get back in by the time I was 30. I needed to get out, do something, earn money, blah, blah, blah. Well, it didn't quite work out that way because jumped from job to job, lots of manual labor stuff. Fell in love with a married woman. Almost got my heart broke. Almost got my butt, my head broke too. But that didn't. I was lucky. I was lucky there. Blah blah blah. And then buddy of mine. I was living at home. I was living where I'm living now. I was living here, and buddy of mine gave me an opportunity to get out, so I took it. He offered me a place to live, and I moved out, and I basically been on my own ever since. And that was the guy who's sort of responsible for me in my 30s joining the Navy. Because instead of going back to school, I went into the military. Because me and my friend, we were actually in our apartment. We had these little crappy barrack style apartments, in Conway, which is the nearest city from where I'm from. And we were sitting in there and passing a joint back and forth, and less than a year earlier, his brother, another one of my friends, I actually graduated high school with him. His brother had joined the Navy, and he goes, pass back and forth. He goes, Bryan, and I go, what? He goes, he said, don't dismiss what I'm about to say. In between, hitting a joint and you're doing your teach tone thing. Don't dismiss what I'm about to say. I'm like, okay. What? He goes, Bryan, you should do what my brother did. I'm not going to say his name, but you should do what did. You should join the military. And it was some really good weed because I was high as hell, and every snaps in my brain fired at once. I had a moment of clarity. I was like, you're right. Maybe I should. So that meant I had a lot I had to do. I had to clean up, had to get in shape, and all that stuff, and that took priority and everything. And I basically stopped writing. I had basically a writer's block for about 10 years. For most of my 30s, I didn't write. I tried to a couple of, here and there. I actually tried to get something published once, but it got rejected. So it is, and again, trying to find myself out in the world, stuff like that, trying to, loan, blah, blah, blah. Married the wrong woman. That's a whole story unto itself. And then when I was stationed in New Mexico, that was my last duty station before I got separated from the Navy. I started writing again. I was 40, just turned 40, 41, in my early 40s. Yeah, and I started writing again. I was on shore duty, so I started taking classes and stuff, took some writing classes, this, that, and the other, and I started writing again. And then I got separated from the Navy because of height weight standards. I was honorably discharged, got to keep all of my benefits and everything. I just didn't let's see here. Wow, I just didn't get to keep. I didn't get to finish my contract, which I was actually obligated to. I'd re-enlisted to go out to, because I was in almost 12. I had over 4 years left on my contract.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and they just I was depressed and all that stuff. I tried to go to school, started doing more writing and everything, and me and my now ex-wife at the time, we moved to San Antonio, Texas. Yeah, DJ, you can do it for free on Amazon. Publishing. We'll get into publishing in a minute because I actually do want to address that. So yeah, I was living we were living with her parents in San Antonio, and I would write. I started picking it back up. Tried to go to school, but I was too depressed from getting separated because I wanted to do 20. The whole goal was to do 20 years and retire, and if I could at 50, fish off a pond bank if I wanted to.
Right.
Because you get an okay retirement if you, especially if you E6, E7 at 20, you can. There was a slim chance I would have made E7, but there's a pretty good retirement, especially if you're that young and everything. And so I didn't get to do that, but I did get disability from some injuries and stuff that I had gotten. So that's sort of a form of retirement. But I got to keep my educational benefits and all that stuff. I've wasted some of them, but I've got it all reorganized now, and I'm actually going back to school in June.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's a different story. Part of the story. So, see what I told you about what Kim said about my life being a pile of spaghetti. It's just this is just bare bones stuff. So up until 2017, I was living in San Antonio. So I got separated in 2013. So my last day in the Navy was December 31st, 2013. So I did just shy of 12 years. So I lived in San Antonio 2014 to 2017. And when my best friend, one of my best friends, he was diagnosed. He's homebound disabled. He's homebound disabled, has no family, few friends. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and my ex, she'd just gotten her master's, which I helped her get. She was working 2 jobs. I had my disability. We were kind of getting into a place where I was sick and tired of living where I was living. Actually, I was sick and tired of living, being with her too. I just felt stuck, felt obligated. I took vows. And there's always that hope that things will get better, especially when you're in one of those I'm not going to say abusive. My ex-wife could be very, very verbally abusive. So in a way, I could say, but a relationship that was out of balance. That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Yes. So I didn't love her. I married her for all the wrong reasons. I was 35 and lonely. For God's sakes, I'd only had one or two what I would call relationships before that. And the first woman I ever fell in love with was married. I had an affair with, and when I was 26, what the hell did I know? Yeah. So we were doing good, I guess. I felt like I needed to get the heck out of there for a little while, and I was going to go down. I was going to go back after helping him out because his treatments were a couple months long, and then find a full-time job where we could move out on our own, but still be near to help her parents, because her mom, I don't even want to think about that woman, how messed up she is. And from the reports that so we were there helping, blah, blah, blah. And I got back here, and she was getting distance from a situation, lends perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not go back. We were divorced by the end of the year. So yes, I was married to her just a little over 10 years.
Okay.
And then I got, basically I've been on my own. I was living here in my family home, which is where I'm at now. The place I moved out of when I was 28, that my friend helped me move out of, moved back here. I was living with my brother and trying to find myself again, doing some writing, doing more self-medicating than I should have. Not weed, other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Experiencing life. Found a girlfriend, fell for her, then got my heart broke again.
Mm-hmm.
My brother died. Well, he moved out. He moved out in October 2018. So we lived together for about a year. And then he moved in with his girlfriend in late 2018. And he passed away in the late May of 2020. So I've been on my own here basically since then. And I was sitting here I was dealing with, because what happened was my brother died, my girlfriend dumped me. Then we had the pandemic, mm-hmm. We had that going on. Just a lot of stuff going on. I was semi-strung out doing stimulants. That stuff doesn't help. It's fun for a little while, but then it gets weird. And I gotten into an accident. This was summer of 2022. I rear-ended somebody. When you're up for a while, you lose depth perception.
Yes.
I rear-ended somebody. I didn't have insurance on my car.
Mm.
Yeah. So I didn't go to court. I had a failure to appear warrant over my head for almost 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
That's also part of the story, part of the interesting part. So, what was happening was at that time I was working delivery, and it dried up because they'd went from they'd gotten basically the service I was working for basically got got beat by the competition, and I was not making any money off of it. I was depressed, still dealing with stuff. Doesn't help when you're up for days and shit like that too. You're not thinking straight. So I gave up and I was spending almost, because I'm on disability, I was spending about 40% of my base income on my car.
Mm.
Yeah, part of the marrying the wrong woman was she ruined my life financially.
Mm.
She'd probably have a lot of, if she heard me, well, I don't know if she'll ever hear this. Who cares? She is a resource black hole, a resource vortex. It doesn't matter if it's material, spiritual, or emotional. She sucks it out of the people around her. And she drained basically every pot of money I had saved up, my credit and all that stuff. So I'm slowly, I got in the car I was driving at the time. It was in 2019. Got into an accident, had to get a new car, and I had to go to one of those lease to own places because my credit sucks.
Mm.
And so my payment was $550 a month. And I'm living on disability. So all those factors together, I was my best friend, the guy I'd helped with his prostate cancer treatments, who is cancer free, thank goodness.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah, he's our Sheldon Cooper. Yeah, he's a very high maintenance person to be around. I love him to death. He's my best friend. I've known him for over 30 years. He's one of the few people in this world that I'm not related to by blood. I would willingly go to prison for. But I was his full-time caregiver, one of his full-time caregivers, and I'd burn out, and so got in an accident. Blah, blah, blah. I had him come get my car. Couldn't get to court. Everything like that. And like I said, I was not thinking straight. And when you're not right in the head, you don't think straight. I'm still not right in the head, but I'm better now. That's when I started watching a lot of YouTube. And let's see if I can find it here. I write about it in this. This is one of the books. I've published a couple books. We'll get into the publishing part, but I write about it in this one. It's called All About Scientology, My Scientology Haikus and Limericks, which is. So I started watching a lot of YouTube, watching a lot of true crime, which led me to, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy named Andrew Gold.
I watch a lot of true crime too, but I don't. That
Uh,
doesn't sound
Andrew
familiar.
Gold, he's this. I don't know how it got into the algorithm or anything, but he's this. I don't really watch him anymore because he, at one point, he was doing a lot of stuff about cults and stuff like that. And I'd gotten into the Danny Masterson trial stuff. You know, the his trial that was going on in 22 and 2023. You know who Danny Masterson is?
No.
That 70s show. Have you ever watched that 70s show?
Yes.
The stoner with the curly
Yes.
hair?
Yes.
That's Danny Masterson. Danny Masterson is a Scientologist.
Oh, okay.
Okay? He was accused of doing some very, very, very heinous things.
Ooh.
And I ran into the trial coverage through Andrew Gold, and that led me to some into the ex-Scientology community
Okay.
here on YouTube, which led me to writing about it, which led to the book. But that's not the reason I started my channel. The reason I started my channel was the publishing thing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Publishing is it's difficult. Getting stuff published is difficult because there are so many of us out there. You have to be persistent. And I can not be persistent at times. I get fear of rejection really sucks. The inner imposter thinking, oh, am I really this? Should I really be doing this? All those voices and everything really can combine to say, I don't really want to deal with the pain of getting rejected, so I won't do it. But I was writing and stuff. I was here by myself, me and my dogs, nowhere to go, out in the middle of nowhere. I had a store in a Dollar General within walking distance, so it's not like I had to hitchhike to go buy groceries or anything. A buddy of mine was helping me out, taking me to town once a month or so. So what do? Start a YouTube channel. At least that way I had something record of me is left behind. I don't have kids. I don't plan on having kids in the way this world is. Thank goodness I never had one, although I wanted to be a dad more than anything. I wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
So, but c'est la vie, they're better off, especially considering how this world is right now. So who do I leave my stuff to? The world or whatever? I've got some nephews and a niece. My niece is my, I'm going to give everything to her as of right now. But she's like 7 or 8 years old. so slick. Seeing at the time she was 6. Yeah, actually, I started my YouTube channel on her 6th birthday.
Okay.
Yes, December 16th, 2022. I didn't, and then I started with my very first video was one of my oldest poems. And I could recite it to you. Let me try it. I wrote it when I was in college, taking one of the many times I took creative writing, the intro to creative writing. I took it once for a grade and 2 or 3 times just for the hell of it. So there was this poetry exercise. It was that the instructor, his name's Terry Wright, had us do. He called it 1-minute poems. Everybody in the class came up with a title. To each member, class member, said their title. We got a minute to write. Said their title, a minute to write. So there's about 20 of us in there. So, just a little workshop class, basically. And this woman, this girl, came up with this title, The Day She Stood at the Edge. And when she came up with it, boom, I got this. It was like a moment of inspiration. I added of the sea to the end of it, and I came up with this. The moon was out and all about was bathed in mystery. She went away on the day she stood at the edge of the sea. Very simple. Dot, 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 dot. So afterwards, after we were all done with everything, we got the opportunity to go back and work on one or two. And I worked on that one, and I came up with this. Look behind and you will find she left a husband and family. She didn't care. She was there and nowhere else could be. So that's what I came up with, and I felt something there, and I was asked if the cadence and everything was on purpose. No, I just came up with it. And then a little later on, I think it was that same day, I came up with this. In her face, she'll see that place for her. It holds the key. Don't ask why, just watch her fly. She stands at the edge of the sea. And then I got it published. They published it in the student literary journal called The Vortex. So I'll read it all at once. It's called The Day She Stood at the Edge of the Sea. It goes, the moon was out and all about, was bathed in mystery. She went away on the day she stood at the edge of the sea. Look behind and you will find she left a husband and family. She didn't care, she was there and nowhere else could be. In her face, you'll see that place for her it holds the key. Don't ask why, just watch her fly as she stands at the edge of the sea.
Very good.
Now, the funny thing about that poem is, it at the time, my mom was going to school too. And she had just recently taken American literature too. And have you ever heard of a woman named Kate Chopin?
No.
Okay. Early 20th century American female writer. She wrote this book called The Awakening. It's what she's famous for. And at the end of it, the main character walks out into, I think, Lake Pontchartrain or something like that, and kills herself because she can't stand her life. Mom always said that poem reminded her of that. Mm. Here's the ironic part. I didn't read The Awakening until a couple years later. Yeah, so it's weird the way the universe works. It's weird the way it works. So I've had a handful of things published in my early 20s. Like I said, most of them are in here. We had the very first thing I ever had published was actually in the local newspaper. A girl I went to school with, she's in the class behind me. She died tragically. Good woman, good girl. One of those, they say if you're a religious person, the Lord likes to take some people home early. Mm-hmm. She is one of them. Mm-hmm. That was the first one I'd ever got published. I wrote a tribute to her, and then got that one I had like 4 published in my early 20s, and then I stopped trying to get it published because, especially back in the 90s, you actually had to send off your submissions to various magazines and this, that. So, and like I said, I was trying to find myself in, other things. And so that was really not one of my priorities. So when I hit 45, my perspective on life changed. Guaranteed 90 at, oh, come on. Okay. Yeah, we're not guaranteed 90 at all. Hell, we're not even guaranteed 45.
That's true.
But, I started looking at that light there. So that's really when I really started writing again. And then, like I said, I was sitting here watching a lot of YouTube. I started getting involved into, started jumping down the rabbit hole that is the Scientology space, especially here on YouTube. And then I decided to start getting my stuff out there, just as having a record that I existed at one point, because like I said, I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to live on that way. The only thing I'm going to live on is that's going to live on after I am not is my words.
Right.
So it is a form of publishing, it's a form of getting it out there. And so I put my first, my first couple of videos, and then just been, I'd put out a video every once in a while, this, that, and I started doing some live streaming with some people in the ex-Scientology space. And then and then oh boy, I just got a message. Oh well, and then started doing live streams, poetry, my own poetry stuff and stuff like that. And then as far as the channel goes, Misha, right?
Yes.
From Awakened by the Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. She introduced me to Suno.
She introduced me to Suno too.
Okay. Yeah, she's done that to a lot of people, and I love her for it. And if I ever meet her in real life, I'm going to give her the biggest hug because she opened up a whole new world to me. Whole new world. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I started plugging a few of my things into Suno to see how it sounded, and I had some good stuff. I'm like, okay. Then I got the idea. What if, and why not? What if I take old stuff, Shakespeare, Shelley, just old stuff, plug it in there and see what happens. Why not?
Why not?
So I've been doing live streaming of that practically every day since January 3rd. And I do live reactions. I tried at first, it was like, okay, can we just generate something, pick a poem and have the live chat go, hey, do this one in this style. But I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't have the bandwidth to really sustain that. And I'm like, okay, I wanted to be a little bit, and that's not kind of, I'm a haphazard, unorganized kind of guy in some ways, but I wanted to have a little bit more of a structure, and it was like, okay, how about live reactions? Okay, because Suno spits out 2 tracks and we can do a live reaction and compare and contrast. Because so that's actually given me, because like I said, when I first started my channel, I didn't think about monetization, watch hours or anything. It's just to get my stuff out there. But now it's kind of changed. My perspective a little bit has changed since I was given this gift, and stuff. So I'm slowly but surely getting into that. So that's a big thing with my channel and all that stuff. And then I'm going back to school.
And what are you going to study?
History and poetry. Yeah, I'm going back to my old school, the one I told my mom that I would get back into by the time I was 30. Well, it's taken an extra 23 years.
But at least you're going to do it.
Yeah. And a lot of help from a lot of people, especially in this community. Because like I said, I was without a vehicle, stuck at home, And then my friend who actually gave me a place to live, actually, they had an extra, him and his wife had an extra car that they thought it had some problems with it. So they gave it to me to get it fixed in it, but it didn't have any problems. The only problem was it didn't have insurance on it. and I had a suspended license. So last March 13th, I remember clearly because that's L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. And in the ex-Scientology community, that is a big day. I was going over to, and I live out in the middle of nowhere. I was going over to a buddy of mine's house because he'd gotten something for me. And a state trooper was out here. I live out in the middle of nowhere. We don't hardly ever see state troopers. Well, the car I was driving had a bad crack in the windshield, so he got behind me, ran the plates. I still had the plates on it from my friend's wife. It was in her name. It had no insurance. He pulled me over. I had a failure to appear warrant, so I ended up in jail. Yeah. Well, they didn't put me in a cell or anything. Because failure to appear for a ticket, this, that, or the other. Just process him through, slap him with a freaking couple court dates, and send him on his way. So that's what they did to me. I couldn't drive. I was too paranoid to drive. Learn the lessons. What happened was somehow some rodents got into the car, and they contaminated the inside, chewed up wiring and stuff. So basically, it was worthless to me. It cost more to get it fixed than it was worth because it had some other problems. It had some electrical problems and other things. So I ended up giving it to a friend of mine, and then a few people, including Keelan McDonald, helped me with doing a crowdsourcing Gifts and Go, and helped me get a car.
Good.
So without them, I wouldn't be in the position, because I live, the school I'm going to is in Conway, which is, it's one of the things that Conway, Arkansas is known for. It's the colleges. It's got 3 of them. Its motto is City of Colleges. It should be City of Roundabouts because it's got way too many of those too. But that's 25 miles away. And I don't do online classes, right? I don't have the discipline to do because I tried to do online stuff, and that's where I'd wasted some of my GI Bill. Because that's one of the things I went into the military for, was the GI Bill. Because I had full intentions of going back to school. Just needed a way to pay for it. So I was able to, they were able to help me get a car, and then I had to jump through some hoops. But I applied back to my old school, and I'm getting a bachelor's in history because I love my two favorite, history and literature, writing and stuff. I'm a history buff. That's one of the reasons what's going on in this world really terrifies me. I see so many historical parallels to other time periods, both in more modern history and ancient. So I'm getting a bachelor's of science in history with a minor in creative writing because Pizza, I quit school at 50 to play music. Yeah. Because they actually have a creative writing program now at UCA. And I would go for to get a bachelor's of arts in creative writing, but there's the to get a bachelor's of arts at UCA, you have to take 1 to 3 classes in a foreign language. Okay. I can barely speak English most of the time. And, they don't do sign language. I took some sign language when I was in New Mexico and stuff. So doing a bachelor's of history, because I love history, a bachelor's of science in history eliminates that language requirement. I don't know why they do that, but it was like a math and a statistics class I took in the 90s covers that. Yeah. So all I have is degree work to do. And I start school in June. I'm retaking biology, and I'm taking music appreciation, just so I can have enough hours to be considered full time. Because one of the reasons I'd like to go to an actual brick and mortar than online. Well, there's several reasons. A, to finish what I started so long ago. B, there's a social aspect to going to actual brick and mortar. There's a interesting. It seems to be a pretty interesting literary community and arts community that that is based there. That it was the same thing when I was in school originally. So to get back into that, and then if I'd go to online, because the way the GI Bill works is they pay for your school, they give you money for materials, and then they give you money to live on. If you go to a strictly online place, they say, well, you don't have to frickin' commute back and forth to school. They cut that stipend in half. No. Yep. So you get E5 basic allowance for a single basic allowance for housing as that stipend. They cut it in the 30s. They cut it in the 30s pieces, give you per diem for how many days you're in school. I'd be losing half my benefit. Yeah. Oh, no.
You need the social part of it too, though.
Exactly, especially for the creative aspects of it, because you can only do so much on my end, and it's getting I can do the publishing, I can do the YouTube, but there's something about getting out in front of people and reading your stuff, getting that immediate feedback. That's one of the reasons I like to do, although I've been meaning to do some open mics and stuff on my channel. I've been, busy and stuff, and insert excuse here. Insert excuse here. But I like to do it, doing the open mics and stuff. Like, there's this place in Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's about a hour and a half drive that I go to. I try to go to it once a month. On Wednesdays, they have an open mic. It's been going basically every Wednesday since 1989. Oh, wow. Yes, and I discovered it a little while ago, and I've been there. I've been there practically every month since I got my car. So December, January. Yeah. No, I didn't go. No, I couldn't go in February because of weather and stuff. But I plan on going on this Wednesday, and then they were supposed to do it. They were supposed to do it on the 2nd, but because of the weather and everything, they postponed it. But I know one of the professors at UCA through the open mic. You do fine, pizza. You do fine. Don't get me started. No, but I know one of the professors at UCA, and I ran into him when I went to go do some talk to an advisor, and he invited me to read at they call it a student poetry coffee house.
Oh.
At UCA, and because technically I'm a student, just taking classes, and it's mainly for students. So I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be doing that on the 16th, which I'm really looking forward to. It's kind of like a homecoming because after I got the bug to do it, because I went to school for 2 years. I was going in I started at UCA at 18. I went to school for 4 or 5 years. And the first 2 years I was there, I didn't do the readings. I was too scared.
Well, now you're not scared, though, are you?
Oh, no, I got up. I decided to, this was 92. It was after Andrea is her name. Andrea had passed. And I wrote that poem for her. And I got it published. And I decided to read it. Here, let me read it for you. So, the first poem I ever read in front of people. Let me find my glasses, yeah. I don't remember the other poems I wrote. I read at that one, but I remember reading this one. It's called Epitaph. Considering it's for it's tribute to a dead person. It's called Epitaph, In Memoriam, Andrea Nicole Bowie, August 3rd, 1973 to October 31st, 1992. It goes, never an unkind word when I'd see you in the halls. Always laughter in your eyes and bounce in your step. You affected me more than you will ever know. Just seeing your pretty smile lifted a cloud off my day, letting the sun shine through for just a few brief moments. Then your candle flickered out, leaving less light to penetrate the darkness. Although I did not know you that well, I pray that you are happy in the world that you go to now. But LA woman, remember, wherever you may be, your memory will keep your spark alive. LA woman, that's a reference to the song. Because my friend, a friend of my friend Norman, would call her that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had this, like I told you, she had this charisma to her. She was beautiful. She won the freaking genetic lottery. She was absolutely gorgeous and nice and stuff. And yeah, she died in a horrific car accident.
That's terrible.
Very terrible. So yes, that's the very first one I ever read. So if I can do it, David, you can do it. You just got to do it. Just do it.
Don't be afraid.
No. Yeah, it can be. It's nerve-wracking because, like the last one I did just recently at Hot Springs, I was so nervous, and it was a poem about my hometown that I've read over and over again, and I got a good reaction and everything, and stuff. But I was happy with my performance, and that's also going to be the one that I'm going to read. I got like 5 minutes, so I'm reading. 1 moment, please. This right here, the Vortex 21. Mm-hmm. Vortex is UCA's student literary publication. It's actually turning 50 this year. Yeah, so this was the 21st one, and I'm reading the poem I got published in here, and then I'm reading the poem about about my hometown. It's all about place, because doing themes. One of the things I've learned, um, especially doing the poetry readings, the doing the live readings and stuff that I've done, or especially doing my morning show themes. I've done stuff for I did stuff for Black History Month. I did stuff for Women's History Month. Well, for St. Patrick's Day, I did all Irish poets, and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and they're about place. Like here, I'm gonna read a couple of these to you. Like the one I published in this one, I wrote it Christmas Eve morning, 1994. So it just turned 30 years old.
Okay.
And the reason I know that I wrote it Christmas Eve morning is because I was coming down off acid when I wrote it. Okay. And yeah, it's all about being where you are. So it's about place. So here, let me read it. It's called Late Christmas Eve Morning. And I wrote it sometime between 4 and 5 a.m. on December 24th, 1994. And it goes, Late Christmas Eve morning. At this moment, here, shattered into a million pieces, I am here. With no pardon, with no man's reason, I am here. I fear a lot of things. Thoughts drip in and out through my ears. They call to me. I am here. Here's where I am, and here is where I'll be until you get here to see me. I am waiting patiently, like a serpent, but with no insidious intent. It all looms in cherry red balloons that are sugar coated with XTC so that we can see what's inside of you and me. With no reason for the rhyme that's on our tongues, it all becomes one, then shattered out on the western sky. The pieces become brittle and dry, and he steps up for one last try. There's the pitch. Hit. Score one for the home team. The ball flies out into the night sky, flies away into space. There, in the face of God, a great conjunction takes place, and behold, the child born of a virgin takes his place among the ranks of men and shakes the world like a rattle. The pieces are all there. The rattle cracks and the pieces fall out. Devil may care. And we are there. We are there to point them out, to say, we are here. Here's where we are, and here's where we will always be, picking up the pieces lying in infinity. So, that one's all about being where you are. At this moment.
In the present.
In the present.
Which is very hard.
Now, one thing I strive for, it's that balance, though,
Yeah.
You got to try to balance it out by bad memories. So yeah, it's I try to follow I try to follow the middle path. Right. It's hard. It's hard, especially in these day and age, because sometimes it's really bad. It's really bad when you walk the middle way. You consider yourself walking the middle way, and it makes you look like a bleeding heart liberal. Mm-hmm. Remember, I live in deep red Arkansas. So that brings me actually to. So I got the poem published in this, and then I took 30 years off. Yeah, I tried to publish a couple times, like I said, and it was like when I was in the Navy, I sent some to this one online place, but my stuff did not fit with their stuff. It's all about finding a home for yourself, where you fit in, or there's a lot of factors that go into public or being accepted. So, This was December of 2022, right after I'd started my YouTube channel. I was falling down that rabbit hole that is anti-Scientology, right? And I'd come across this really uptight-looking young British kid. This red tie up to his chin and pressed suit, but he doesn't like he hates David Miscavige and all that stuff. And he said something that just, I don't know why. It's this, you don't know what will spark you to write something, but I'd had this idea for years. Now, Gen X, our generation knows the movie The Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
One of the more famous scenes is when Mr. Miyagi is explaining how to go about it. Is you do it yes or you do it no. You don't do it half-ass or you fail, right?
Right.
You walk one side, safe, left side of the road, right side of the road, safe. Walk the middle, go squeeze like grapes sooner or later.
Right.
Well, I kind of flipped that metaphor a little bit about politics. To me, politics, life in general, it's like a bridge, right? And doesn't matter what wingnut you are, you're walking on the rails of a bridge that's above a chasm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's deadly shit at the bottom. And you got the cultural crosswinds, this, that, or the other, the unexpected. Sooner or later, it's going to knock your butt off if you're not careful.
Yeah.
That's why it's better to walk the middle way. Walk in the middle. That way, you got the guardrails to protect you. Well, this uptight young British guy, called Fox News fair and balanced. So I immediately grabbed my notebook, this legal pad, and I wrote this. It's called The Bridge. The wind blew blustery and bright off of my left, easterly in direction, as I stepped onto the rickety old bridge. A knot in one of the precariously positioned planks caught a misplaced toe. Stumbling steps, arms whirling in a bid to regain balance before I fell through the suddenly seen gap in the handrails to my right into the gaping chasm below. Then the gale-force winds shifted, streaming now from the right. Backpedaling a step or two, my cattywampus equilibrium corrected itself, and off-the-rail disaster is postponed for now. I glanced back behind me. Alrighty then, I said. Not all of my forward momentum had been stymied. Again, I proceeded on the journey across the bridge. I reached out with both hands, right and left and right, looking out for pitfalls, grasped onto the railing, and stumbled on. So, some of it's actually quite obvious. Precariously positioned plank. What's in a political platform? Plank.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I got it published in this Westward Quarterly. Mm-hmm. They like my stuff. I've actually gotten 5 things published in here in this magazine now.
Wow.
In the last couple of years. So it was a real confidence booster because right before then I'd gotten rejected. Yeah, it can be bad getting published, and then but there's so many options these days. It's almost overwhelming, and you never know where you're going to be accepted. All you got to do is go to this place called Submittable. All right, And that's where a lot of magazines and websites or publications and stuff, they all go through that. It's like a clearinghouse for submissions. And you go in, you pick what genre or what your flavor is, and you go to contests, and most of them are free.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't have to pay a fee. Mm-hmm. Some of them pay fees like too, but I tend to steer towards the people that will just publish my stuff. You know, most of the time you don't get money for it, but I don't care. It's about building a damn resume.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and the fact that they liked it well enough to publish it.
And you know, I recently got some major cojones to send some stuff to Poetry Magazine. They do pay you, but I don't think anything that I published. One of them might, because the topic is timely. It's about the chump. But I don't want to go there now. But yeah. So see what I mean about spaghetti? I could talk. Yes, it's about sharing. It is about sharing. It's about getting your work out there. And poets are, of the artists, poets can tend to be pretentious. Very pretentious, because it's really hard to make a living being a poet. You have to be extremely lucky, or you have to write songs, which is one of the reasons I really love Suno, because I can hear my stuff. Because I have these rhythms, like when I write along with a rhythm, or I get these cadences or whatever, or I get a rhyme scheme or whatever. But it's nice to hear how it will actually interpret it. You know, and it's we were just talking about you, Misha.
You and Suno.
Yeah, you and Suno. Yeah.
Which, by the way, thank you very much. I love
it. Yes, like I said earlier, if you and I ever meet in real life, I'm going to give you the biggest hug. but yeah, so that's one of the things, and you know, it's, and if you can do something you love and make money at it, you know, great. Like I never thought I would ever, the possibility of me ever getting. You were pretentious before you knew you could write. Okay, that's pretty bad. Are you okay, Bella? Come here, baby girl. It's my baby girl. This is my girl Bella. She hates the storms. Yeah, but
okay.
It's okay. You know you can get your spot, but yeah, they're not quite done yet. But are you okay, baby girl? No, you're not. All right, come on, go get in your spot. All right, go get in your spot. Hopefully she will. Come on, go. You know where to go. All right. As long as he doesn't try to climb into my bookshelf, because I'm afraid he'd freaking fall on her. All right, so I kind of lost my train of thought. You got any questions? I don't know. I can talk for a long time about this various and the other stuff, because I've led an interesting life.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What job did you have when you were in the military?
I was a Aegis fire controlman. All right, Aegis. You know who Athena is?
Uh-huh.
The goddess Athena. Her shield. It's called Aegis. Aegis is Greek for shield. Okay. Or Aegis. It's a air defense system that it's actually a weapons platform for defending aircraft carriers. Right? So you got these little bitty cruisers and destroyers, 200 man, 200, 250, 300 man crew, you know, small boys. We call them small boys. But that's what I worked on. I worked on what they called fire control systems and operational readiness testing system, FCS ORTS. It was the fire control systems were the power and the radar. It was the power systems that powered the weapon system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked on the fire control radar that slammed missiles into their targets.
Oh.
Now, I never got to. Thank goodness, I never got to push the button. Because one of the things, if we were out at sea and we were in a combat, in a situation where we had to have full combat CIC combat information central manned, I'd have to be there looking at a freaking radar screen going roundy, right, and waiting to push a button to defend against a target, an aggressor. But I never got to do that. So the thing I had to fight more than anything was sleep. And then, but yeah, Aegis is an interesting system. It was designed around 4 parts. FCS ORT's what I did. The radar, which was called Spy, and then the computer suites that ran the system, and then the displays in combat. Right. So we cross-trained with each other and stuff like that. But I mainly stayed with that, did the testing system and stuff like that. But it was a great job-ish. It had its perks, but it pigeonholed me to certain ships, certain duty stations, especially for shore duty. I could either go to one of a couple places, or recruiting, or pushing boots. That was it. They liked us to be at sea a lot.
Yeah. And you were married then, right? So was that hard on her, you being gone?
Hold on a second. Are you kidding me?
What happened?
You guys can hear me. I can't hear you because my speakers just went out.
Oh, no.
Hold on a second. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me? No.
All right. Now I had to switch. Now I can. Oh no. Now I can hear you. I had to switch to my PC speakers.
Oh,
Great. Yeah. Because this is weird. I think my one computer just went out on me. Oh, great. Ugh. That means I gotta go get me some speakers.
Well,
Yeah.
when one thing goes, it's
Yeah.
always something.
Yeah.
I've just learned to wait on the next thing that goes wrong,
Yeah. But it could have been. And great. Oh well. So where were we?
I asked you about your wife, if it was hard on her when you were out at sea for long periods of time.
It was harder on me because she had no idea the value of $1.
Oh, okay. So you were making the money and
she was spending it. All right, let's check this shit out. I was coming back from deployment, right? I'd taken a loan out on my the retirement plan I had. It's called the thrift savings plan. Notice the word had.
Mm.
One of the beauties of it is you could take a little loan out, and they would take it out of your personal check, so much a month or whatever, you know. And I'd been away for 6-7 months almost, and I was looking forward to coming home, spending some time with her. And I had decided to take out a $1,500 loan to go on for when we went on leave to go to a resort. I was stationed in Virginia. I was going to rent one or a nice one in Pennsylvania. Go to a freaking mountain resort in Pennsylvania, right? It would have been April. It would have been a great time to April. You know, that was June, July. So it would have been a great time to go. You know. Well, I get an email from her. Honey, I spent $1,000 on meat.
Oh my gosh. Mm.
There went our vacation. This was like a couple days before I got home. So yeah, she'd get depressed and spend money. And then go, oh well. There's no telling how many times she drained my bank account buying stupid shit on eBay. We threw away stuff when we were PCSing, you know, permanent change of station from Virginia to New Mexico. Most of that meat that she spent $1,000 on, I ended up giving away to people I served with. Yeah. She got into extreme couponing at one point. We had shelves of shit.
Oh,
yeah. I'd get sign on. I'd get reenlistment bonuses. All of it went to her buying shit. See, there's this thing called love languages, right?
Yes.
You know what her main one is? Stuff.
I was going to say, yes. Oh my goodness.
Yep. Stuff. Made her feel good. But like I told you, she is that resource black hole.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Never good enough. I'm sure.
No, she's a very, very. I don't like to throw stones. The last thing I like to do is throw stones because I am no better than the next person. And my philosophy is we all sit to go number 2. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, but she's been described as very narcissistic, very self-centered. When we get into an argument, if she was losing, she would get loud, really loud. You know, you've lost an argument the louder you get.
Yes.
And she's all these. She would stay in our bedroom, and she would stay in our bedroom, come home from work, go to the bedroom, and I would be a go-between between her and the world and the parents and all that stuff. And she loved to freaking argue too. Oh God, and she's good at it. But the only time it ever became violent is actually she hit me.
Oh.
Yeah. This was June of 2017. She just finished her first year. She just finished she was working at this high school through a nonprofit. right? And their school year had just been over with. And she comes home. They're doing whatever. She comes home, and our niece, um, her older sister's daughter, was living there, and she immediately lays into her. My ex lays into my niece, calling her a bitch and all this, that, and the other. So my ex-father-in-law, jumps in defending his granddaughter,
Right.
and I jump in because she just started in. Well, I jump in, and she says, "Well, she's being a bitch," and I told her flat out, "Well, look in the mirror." What?
Mm.
Yeah, she slapped me. And then she tried to do it again, and I blocked it. And that was the only time it ever came to blows. And believe me, I wanted to rearrange her face on several occasions, but I saw way too much of that growing up,
Yeah.
and it's not worth it. Because if I would have whacked her, my ass would have been thrown in jail. Plain and simple. And it's always best to walk away. Violence. I'm a pacifist. I pass on the fist. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even though I was in the Navy, in the military, as I joined the Navy, where we weren't, and I made sure I was not in a job where I'd throw the stuff in and let the other people take care of the violent part, not me.
Yeah.
Notice
Yeah,
my job.
I'm not a violent person either.
My job was defense.
I don't really like to argue. I like to debate.
Yes, a good debate. The problem I have with arguments and debates is I tend to get emotional.
Well, if
Yeah.
I know, like, I can have my opinion and hear your opinion, but if I know a fact is a fact,
Oh God.
you say it's not a fact, then I have to prove it to you. That is a fact, right?
Especially about history. Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord! Like I study ancient history for fun. All right. Like, for example, I love ancient Mesopotamia,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this thing called the Babylonian Kings List, right? It was scholars date it to around the 8th century BC, so roughly 2,000 years ago. But it chronicles kings for thousands of years. Like it says, some of the first kings in Mesopotamia ruled for tens of thousands of years. How could they have ruled for tens of thousands of years? People don't live that long. Well, some people think maybe we did back then. I'm like, dude. Oh, no, don't get me started. Because, and I get emotional about it because I know I study this stuff. I don't like, yeah. And again, when it comes to politics, because politics is so subjective when it comes to a lot of things. And with our polarized body politic, the way it is so polarized these days, and it's done on purpose. It's not. I was having a discussion the other day with someone who I agree with. We're not in a culture war. We are in a class conflict.
Yes.
And the class, and it's been that way for a long time. The most recent period of middle class prosperity is a fluke when you look at history as a whole over time. Okay? It's a fluke. And it's partially because the elites paid their fair share. People don't realize that. All right? How did they get? Well, they want to keep their wealth. And want us proles to fight amongst ourselves so they can get more and more of the pie. Some people would think, listening to me, you'd think I was a communist. No, I believe in little d democracy. I also believe in the rule of law. For example, everything that's going on right now, the tariffs, the deportations, all that crap, it can be done legally. It just takes time because you have to follow the process. What the baboon in chief orange dude doesn't like to do is follow the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to. I don't want to.
Instant
gratification.
Hi, Tim. 420.
Hey, how's it going?
Chiweenie channel. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So that was really far afield from talking about my ex-wife. but yeah. So got another question.
Okay, let's see. What is your plan once you finish school and get your degree?
I haven't really thought that far ahead. Well, what I would like to do, back in 2007, 2008, when I was on deployment in the Eastern Med.
Eat more pizza, says SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
SpaghettiOs out of your plate. It's spaghetti. Okay.
So, they brought on this guy. To teach introductory college level courses, specifically history, American history.
Okay.
Civilian. They brought him on to teach the class to people on deployment. To the sailors. I didn't take it because I didn't need it, right? But that's what I'd like to do. If the world isn't blown up or whatever between now and then, but excuse me, to do that, you have to have at least 18 hours of a master's completed before they'll hire you. So I've got my GI Bill. I was able to apply for an extra 12 months. They had this thing called a Rudsell Act. Some representative, if you did 2 consecutive enlistments, you were eligible for an extra 12 months of GI Bill. The couple attempts I'd had at going back to school online that I messed up ate up about 12 months of my GI Bill. So basically I got all that back. And it all works out to, because I've got basically all I'm doing is degree work, right? And my major and minor, all the basic crap's already taken care of. If I need to take any lower division classes for refresher or whatever, I can do that. But I've got enough GI Bill to actually pay for the rest of my bachelor's and pay for my master's.
Oh, good.
Yes. So the plan is for at least the next 5 years to be in school.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm hoping that I could, do my morning show most of the time and just, make a little extra money, because I draw disability. From my time in the Navy. So it's not like I'm broke. I'm on a fixed income. So, the possibility of getting monetized, which I was at 425, and then the last I looked, I was at 423. I think because I cussed out a troll this morning. I got my first troll.
You have arrived.
Yeah, that's what they said. I don't know. I think I seen this guy around. I don't know, but I got pissed because he said a song sucks and it doesn't, so I had him banned. And then I felt bad about it afterwards. Because I was like, well, maybe you did. Oh well, whatever. But yeah. But the possibility that there's a possibility that I could get monetized if I could do that, and be a student for the rest of my life, because after I'm 53, when I turn 60, I can go to, yes, you missed the troll. Pizza's one of my mods. He missed the troll. You might have seen him in the chat. It's called the channel. The name was called Truth Seeker. I've seen him in the chats before in one of the anti-Scientology or whatever's, but I don't know. But he started saying the song sucks. I'm like, okay, I got a criteria. If you don't like a song, don't say it sucks. Yeah. Tell me why. Yeah. Tell me why you don't like it, or get the hell out. So the possibility of being monetized, it's fun. That's one of the reasons. It's frustrating but fun too, because I get on there. I look forward to doing my live streams. I love grabbing a book and going, hey, let's look at this one up, and hearing what it comes, the different variety and everything. Right. You've seen him too? Okay, good. At least yeah, so if he was just being an asshole, just to be an asshole is a different story than being a damn troll, But yeah, that's what I'd like to do, because what I like to do is once I get 2 semesters of my master's completed, because I'm going to UCA to get my bachelor's in history with a minor in creative writing, but I'm going to apply for graduate school for an MFA in poetry, right? Mm. You can go to a bachelor. You can go into a graduate program under a minor. Mm.
And that takes care of the foreign language.
Yes, that takes care of the history. It's the loopholes,
Yeah.
So that's what I plan on doing. So once I get 2 semesters down, I'm going to apply for that particular position through the Department of Defense, if they are offering it. Who knows? Who knows if we'll even have a country next year,
Right. Well, but we're living in the present, so talking about the future really doesn't matter.
Yeah, living in the present.
You're doing what you need to do in the present to get to a future.
Yeah, which right now it's I start classes in June. I'll retaking a couple classes in June, and then in the fall I'm going to school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, taking Intro to Rhetoric, Intro to the Historian's Craft. I know we'll have a country pizza. I'm just being dark humor, Intro to Rhetoric, Intro to the Historian's Craft, and a forms class, Poetry, which is right up my alley. And then those 3 classes are actually brick and mortar actually attend, and I couldn't find anything else that I wanted to take that didn't conflict with those 3. So I'm having to take an online Introduction to African American History. Oh. Which is actually a freshman level course. So I'm taking 1 freshman, 2 sophomore, and a junior level and a junior level courses. So I'm looking forward to that. And then that's about as far in the future that as I'm, But I should have if everything goes well, I should have my bachelor's in December. I should graduate with my bachelor's in December of 27.
Okay.
Yeah, so um, I took rhetoric. Let's argue. Yeah, it's all about arguing. Uh, so maybe it's one of those prereqs you got to have for the writing program, um, for the creative writing program. So yeah, it's intro to rhetoric, and then I can take the other different writing programs or writing classes. Like in I know in spring of 26. So next spring they're offering the workshop for poetry, which I'll take that because poetry's right up my alley. And then I plan on hopefully taking something like creative nonfiction, which will help me tell my stories. Because I've got stories, as you know, I've got stories. I've got a lot of stories. You know, for God's sakes, I just me, where I'm from and where I grew up, that's a story unto itself. What happened in my first 4 years? I could write down what I remember, what little I remember. I could write down, I could base something off of what happened in my first 4 or 5 years and probably become a bestseller.
Yeah.
Because it's so messed up. Oh my God. All messed up. Oh my Lord. so yeah, but it's getting over. I'm working on doing videos about it and stuff, and hopefully that will get me to being able to do some prose and going from there. Hence, the creative nonfiction is something that I would like to maybe try.
Yeah.
So,
Well, as they say, the world will be your oyster. You can do whatever you want to do. You
yeah,
definitely have a talent for, putting words together. So I don't,
thank you.
I don't think, yeah,
I'm glad.
I don't think you're going to have any problem in that department.
Yeah. Well, you want me to read something?
Yeah.
All right. I am going to read. Let's read my poem about Enola. Let me pull it up here.
Okay.
Okay, I wrote this one. I got the idea for this one. You know how this can come in strange places. I got the idea for this one a couple years. I wrote this one a couple years ago. I got the idea for it. I was walking down to the stores during my period of exile. I was walking down to the store. It was springtime. And I looked down and I saw the undershell of a turtle. You know, little B turtle, been roadkill, And I got an image in my head and I just took it out. I just took it from there. So this is basically about a spring day in my hometown. It's called Enola. It goes, in the morning, the bullfrogs croak their good mornings to one and all in the cool, clear twilight of the deep purple dawn. The turkey vultures hover over last night's hill, breaking fast as the sun peeks her head above the warm horizon. The red-headed woodpecker digs his beak into a rotting tree stump, worrying away at a quick morning meal. The traffic goes by back and forth, the cars driving their occupants to their daily destinations, wherever they may be. The echoes of my footfalls on the tar-black pavement vibrates my bones as I walk to the store for a bacon, egg, and cheese. In the afternoon, the sun passes her zenith, shining down her warmth upon the C-130s whose contrails streak the great big blue sky. The laughter of the elementary school children playing at recess, burning off built-up energy, travels on the lazy afternoon breeze. The neighborhood dogs bark back and forth to one another, a cryptically coded conversation Only they are able to decipher. The distant roar of a mower coming to life rides in and all around upon the freshly cut grass scented wind. The wail of the emergency siren being tested reminds me, like Pavlov's dog, the store's lunch special is chili dogs with cheese. In the evening, the store's neon open sign falls silent as the sun goes to her rest, sinking her weary way down in dusk deepening twilight. The storm front blows through, lightning flashing, rumbling thunder, flotsam flying, branches about to break, then calm, stillness, a pin drop sound. The crickets chirp, the all clear, bathed in ancient starlight revealed by the clouds passing, the opening measure of nighttime's rhythm resuming. The moon slowly creeps above the horizon, adding his pale light to the dark broken by the occasional lights of homeward-bound cars. The coyotes yip and howl their goodnight, and the moon passes on his way as I lay my bones down to dream while the universe spins on.
Very good. All that from the underside of a turtle.
Yep.
Whew.
All that from the undershell of a turtle.
Of a turtle. Yeah.
So yeah, that's that along with Late Christmas Eve Morning, because they're both about place. One's about the place I live, and the other one's about being in the place you are.
Are, yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So you got any other questions?
Let me think. Are you the kind of person who appreciates and enjoys your being there by yourself, or would you rather have people around you?
All the above.
Because I asked you that question because myself, I do not mind being alone. I do not
Right.
mind being in my space by myself.
I
I like people and I like to be around people, but I really don't mind being by myself either.
This is how after my me and my brother lived together for that year. I came up with a rule. The next person I live with, I'm going to be bumping uglies with. Right. That not to be crude or rude, but that's I'm a loner. I'm a natural loner. I'm an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally introvert. I get a lot of it from my dad. A lot of that generational trauma and stuff because he was messed up. Poor guy. Then the trauma or whatever that I experienced growing up exacerbated that. Makes it really hard to be outgoing. When you embarrass easily and stuff, and you're self-conscious.
Yeah.
And people like to laugh, and people would laugh at me, and I take it personally. They'd laugh like kindergarten. Little bunny foo-foo. You know the story, Little bunny foo-foo? Little bunny foo-foo walking through the forest. Out came the field mouse, and he popped him on the head. Well, we were learning that. The kindergarten class was learning that. And we learned that. And at the end of the year little program the school put on, because I went to a very small town. The school I graduated from that I went to most of my life, K through 12 in the same complex. And so at the, it was, really small, low student teacher ratio, all that stuff. And so at the end, and this was in 1975, 1976, So, 1977. Yeah, like 1976, 1977. God, I'm old. So we did Little Bunny Foo-Foo, the whole class recited it. And I don't know what possessed me. I don't even remember doing it, but I volunteered to do, I guess I've always wanted to be a performer or something, because I volunteered to say the moral at the end. And the moral of the story is hair today, boom tomorrow. And I remember them all laughing at me because I was this cute little, they all thought I was just this cute little boy, with curly blonde hair and, so blonde it was almost white. And the guy I considered my father, the guy who was more of a father figure to me than anybody else, of the multiple people that my mom was with, multiple dudes my mom was with, he was my best friend's dad. He always brought that up. He always bring it up to me. He goes, "You were just so cute." So yeah, but yeah, it's just that it's, I don't know where I was going, but yeah, I what was the being alone? Okay, we were talking about being alone. I don't mind being alone. Being lonely, on the other hand,
yes, there is a difference.
There is a big difference.
Yes.
One of the reasons I got married, my ex, was because I was lonely.
Mm-hmm.
It's all textbook, no confidence. The dating pool where I grew up, the dating pool is non-existent. Okay? Mm. I graduated with a class of 13 people, including myself. Mm. Only 4 of those people were female. None of them looked at me. They told me I had them fucking flat out telling me in my face. Not, just because we don't talk that way about you. Mm-hmm. How fucking rude, Mm-hmm. That happened in class. This was, it was in class, a small class. And one of the girls was talking with a teacher, female teacher. They started talking about it, and I started getting a little uncomfortable. And she flat out turned around, looked at me, right flat out, basically said I was ugly and, and, I wanted to, mm-hmm. I wanted to strike out. But no, it's not worth it.
No.
So, yeah. So, yes, no confidence, goes way back, blah, blah, blah. I met my ex on eHarmony. It's a lie. And then I actually had a relationship, short-lived relationship between then and now. She was a little older than me, and it was during that time that I was, semi-strung out and stuff, wasn't thinking straight and stuff. That kind of interfered with it. And in the long run, I think I'm better off without her. And then there's this certain redhead that lives up the road that's been vexing me for a long time. That's the stuff of poetry. But as far as all that goes, when I just try to concentrate on, I got my dogs, and they keep me here, and which is a good thing, because if I didn't have them, I probably would, I don't know. If I didn't have my dogs, I'd probably be hitchhiking somewhere. I don't know. Who knows? But but yeah, but being alone is I can handle alone because I've had to most of my life. You
Yeah.
know, there at one point, PBS, especially when I was in North Carolina, PBS was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd come home from school and do my homework and watch PBS.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I learned a lot of stuff. And I came back here and I would talk about the stuff that I learned, and I was considered a smartass. Yeah. Well, because I knew stuff.
Yeah.
Just because you guys knew stuff didn't mean I was making fun of him. In that small town, you
Yeah.
know, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. So, but yeah, if the right opportunity presented itself in the future, then I'd take it. If not, then you know, I don't want to make the same mistake that I made with my ex. Yeah, so fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you. Yeah, shame on you. And I'm a one and done type person. Like when I split up, when I moved back here, my nephews they asked me if I was going to get back with her, and I'm like, no, I'm one and done because they're my brothers. I have two older siblings. I have two older siblings and one younger. Right. My oldest brother was the one who died. The middle one was the one who had it was his son, one of his sons who asked me that, and him and their mother, it was a revolving door. They were leaving each other and back with each other. They got married 2-3 times. I'm like, you didn't figure it out the first time?
That was me. After 29 years, and I didn't know there were problems. I didn't know he was unhappy, and he just up and leaves. I went and filed for the divorce. I was like, "You're not coming back. I don't want you back." You know.
No, with my brother and his ex-wife, it was a revolving. It was, like I said, it was a revolving door with them. One week they'd be together, and the next week she'd kick him out, or he'd leave and go on a drug-fueled drunken binge because he's unhappy. You know, he was unhappy. And unhappy people make the people around them unhappy.
That's true.
And there's a reason for it, because there's a big difference between me and my two older brothers and my sister. My two older brothers and me, we grew up sort of in the same time frame. Same events happened, all the chaos, violence, all that shit. When my sister, who's 11 years younger than me, some bad shit happened when some tragic shit happened to her, blah, blah, blah. That's her story to tell. But she had different opportunities than me and my brother had. She actually was a little bit better adjusted, you know, because my mom raised her slightly differently. Because it's very different raising boys than it is girls. You know. Yeah, and stuff, and stuff. But my sister is a very successful nurse. She's a workaholic, too much for her own good. I'm afraid she's going to die of a heart attack and thin hair. Her hair's going to all fall out because of stress, and she's going to die of a heart attack before she's 60. But you know, she's done good for herself. She's got 4 kids. Like I said, her daughter, I'm going to, you know, give all of my intellectual property and everything to her daughter, who's a very creative girl. So, yeah. But yeah, it's and then when I figured it out, because me and my 2 older brothers had tendency to self-medicate. Like the first time I ever smoked weed, it was like I didn't like to drink, had bad connotations, didn't like the taste of it for one thing, but it also had bad connotations, all the violence and everything. and I didn't like what it did to me. But when I first discovered weed, it was like a whole new world had opened up for me. And I didn't understand why until later on, right? I was in San Antonio, and my cousin had posted this thing about, it was like 8 to 10 criteria for, they call it complex now, but at the time it was called childhood post-traumatic stress, right? Freaking, I hit 7 or 8 of them. I'm like, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Predilection to addiction, the predisposition to using self-medication, all that stuff. Because my dad was a violent drunk. My mom was naive and stupid. She was very sheltered growing up, and then was just thrust out into the world. Her first husband, who is my brother's biological both my brother's biological father, gave them up to my dad. So they have my last name, even though we're half brothers, which caused me problems because they screw people over, this, that, and the other. And there are people out here probably to this day that don't trust me just because of my last name. Because of them too. So she was stupid, pulled stupid shit, which caused a lot of trauma to us that they didn't know would happen. Stupid adults. My dad. I don't even know if my mom was the first person my dad was ever with. He was a huge guy, huge. I never knew him under 500 pounds. Wow. Yeah, he had all kinds of physiological problems. He was a huge baby. I think from what I was told, he was around 20 pounds when he was born. And my grandma, his mom, very petite, very tiny woman. He almost killed her, which caused issues with my grandpa. My dad was an embarrassment to my grandpa. He was made fun of because he's a little fat boy and all this other shit. So you got all that he was dealing with. I didn't come around till he was in his early 30s.
And you're his first biological child?
And I was his first and only biological child. Yes, after him and my mom got a divorce, he went back to West Virginia and married the love of his life, and raised her children. Now, there's a little bit of resentment there, if you can't tell. But that's another part of my story. All right, so anything else?
Well, anything you want to tell us, you can tell us.
It's Ted, I've had an interesting life. And today I feel more alive than I've ever in my life at times. And then, and sometimes it's like, and you got, and like I said earlier, when 45 hit, it put things into perspective for me. So, and that's when I decided I had to get the hell out of my disastrous marriage. And then my best friend gave me an opportunity to. How many people can say someone getting cancer saved their life? Yeah. How many people? And it's usually in the negative. Usually the person got cancer and died, and they saved the person's life by dying. Well, because they were an asshole. But
I said earlier
that what?
I said, it's just like what I said earlier when I was over on the Sources channel today. Even though a lot of bad things happened to me, I can look back now and find a silver lining in almost every situation, that some positivity did come from it. Of course, I didn't know that at the time,
but believe me, I know for a fact you're correct. Remember I told you earlier, I wanted to do something where I could retire at 50 and fish if I wanted to, right?
Right. Right.
Well, considering I put myself into exile and I basically went into semi-retirement at the age of 50. Yay! My disability has given me the opportunity. It's given me the ability that in living where I live, like I live in my family's home, I don't have to pay rent.
Right.
That's that is a big plus, right?
Yeah.
But say I would have stayed in the Navy, and me and my ex would have got divorced after being married for 10 years.
Then she would get half of your
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy when I was in San Antonio. It's an interesting fella. He was married to someone for a long time. He was in the Air Force. She cheated on him. They got a divorce. And she gets half his retirement. And every time I talked to him, it came up somewhere. It always come up that he could not wait till that bitch died. Silver lining. Silver lining. If my love handles, if I hadn't had my love handles and a freaking asshole OIC, I would not be right here now. Because what got me kicked out was failure to height weight standards.
Yeah.
Right. So it was something. It wasn't disciplinary. It wasn't drugs. It was the fact that I got love handles and a skinny neck that got me booted. And my OIC was a dick. Pardon my language, but he is.
Yeah, but there's always, when you're going through something, it looks like the end of your life.
Like oh God, yeah,
because nothing's going to ever come out of that would be good. Yeah, but most everything, I can honestly say, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now had I not gone through those other things, because it does change you as a person. And
yeah. And I'm more mature. I feel more secure in myself now than I have ever in my life.
Yeah.
So that is a plus. That is a plus.
And for instance, when something bad happens, it's so easy to blame God and, why did you do this to me? Why is this happening?
Oh, me and the universe. Oh my Lord.
It's kind of like, things are going to happen how they're supposed to happen, but we don't know the plan. And so we see it as total negativity and a big roadblock or a big, U-turn or whatever. And then as you grow as a person and you get older, then it's like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Okay, this is terrible. This is a terrible thing that happened to me. But I have a chance to learn something if I can figure out what that something is.
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life now. I know bad things are going to happen. It's life. But I just kind of wait for the next thing to come along to see, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this?
I call it riding the wave.
Yeah, that too.
You got ups and downs. But as long as you're making some type of progress, like in that poem, The Bridge, it's about the dangers of progress for progress' sake. Which is one of the reasons our body politic is in the shape it is now, because people are trying to make too much progress too quickly.
Yes.
And you got that inevitable backlash. It's the same way for your life. As long as you can ride the ups and downs, but as long as you're trying to make as long as you're making some forward momentum, some headway, I didn't realize 3 years ago when I got, almost 3 years ago now, when I got into that accident, that I would have to go, become a, cocoon, get into that cocoon to reemerge. And that's what I'm doing now. And
Yeah.
it's been with the help of a lot of people.
Hmm.
I couldn't have done, I'm not, I couldn't be where I'm at now if it hadn't been for people like David, or like Tiff, or like you, or Misha, or the numerous people that I'm friends with, this community that
Hmm.
I found on YouTube that helped me through my darkness.
Yes,
I wasn't alone.
that's right. And that's so important that we
I know.
realize that.
Yeah, I have a few friends. I have a handful of friends that I've
Hmm.
known forever. But it's this, it's the social. When I was out here stuck, nowhere to go, I had somewhere to go. I had people from all over the world to talk to.
Yes.
We had something in common, is the anti-Scientology movement and stuff, and then it just developed from there. You developed a community, and I don't like that. I know Keela hates the word too. The parasocial. I don't call it parasocial. I call it quasi-social. It's
Hmm.
not quite in real life,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit more than what para means. Para means other than, you
Hmm.
know, other than social. That's like they use the example of a Beatles fan. You might think that you knew Paul or George or John or Ringo, but you didn't know them. That was
Yeah.
your thing. But I feel I know you. I don't know you as well as I can, or I might get to, but I know David pretty well. He's
Yeah.
been on my channel more than once, and we've talked and stuff. And I've interacted with with some people for well over 2 years now, and they're a part of my daily life. You
Well,
know,
and the thing about it is too is that everybody's got a story and
Mhm.
everybody's got that pain, and it
it's
doesn't matter if
it
we can understand exactly what the other person's gone through, but we can understand how
it's
that makes you feel, and
it's
so we
it's we're
can
not
relate.
alone. It's
Yeah,
we're not alone.
that's right.
Yeah, even though I'm even though I was a hermit. I kind of like being a hermit at times. I'm a writer, an artist. That can be a very solitary thing.
Hmm.
But when you lack that community, and it was just like, it was not something that I sought out. It was something that just happened. It just developed.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I like if I hadn't found the anti-Scientology community, I wouldn't have written this. You
Yes.
know, I've
Exactly.
published several books. On Amazon. Self-publishing is easy these days. It's easy, especially not quite like not like 30 years ago when yeah. But I wouldn't have found something to write about. I wouldn't have people I consider friends. Um, in the in a looser definition of the word, you got friends, and you got friends. Like my friends, my friend John, the guy who uh, came down with cancer. I've known the guy for 30 years.
Hmm.
I have a couple of friends that I went to high school with and stuff. I've known them for years. There's those friends, and then there are, I forgot where. But the point is, I was able to get through. I was able to get through my exile from the world with the help of this community, and now I'm here.
Well, I know I have benefited so much from meeting this community,
Oh yeah.
and there were things that I never ever thought I would discuss on
Hmm.
YouTube that I have come out with it,
Yeah. Yes.
and,
Like
and it's cathartic. It's
yes. It's like
healing. It's just
Yeah,
You don't need
I
to
totally
carry
understand.
all that around with you. You need to get it out, and when somebody else can say, I relate to that, or I understand that,
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
or if they just listen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I never thought I would talk about the crap that happened between me and my older brother when we were kids, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, he sexually molested me
Hmm.
a couple years ago. I couldn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Now I can talk about it.
yeah,
Mm. It's still tough, but it's getting through it, and I got the support of everybody out here because somebody understands, you know, and that's all. That's one of the things that we search for: understanding,
yeah.
belonging.
That's right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
I know that there's been stuff that has gone on, and I don't know if it's from the Scientology community or if it's from the other community over here or whatever, because I
yeah,
wasn't around for all that, so I don't really know,
all the drama.
all the drama.
It
But
makes it. It can make it interesting, but
I'm just I'm just thankful that everybody's got a place to go and
yeah,
work through all of that,
hmm
whatever it might have been or is,
yeah,
or whatever. Um, because that's something, when you go through stuff like that and you don't feel like you have anybody to talk to, it can make it really trying.
yes, it
So,
can.
and you can talk to your family and you can talk to people that know you in real life, but
It
sometimes it's
yeah,
different because they got their own agenda and they got
yeah,
their own stuff going on, you know. And when
yeah,
you can find other people that are like, just tell us about it, it'll be okay, then you can do it.
yeah. There's a thing about There's a thing about like it's like about that's the thing about going like to therapy and stuff like that. It's good to get someone who's not involved,
Yes.
you know, to give you their opinion or their expertise or whatever, and it's like, but yeah, it's hard. Oh, I forgot where I was going to go with this, but having the couple different, you got my inner life, having this community and stuff. It, it's a net positive. Everything, despite the ups and downs and the drama, because you're never ever going to get more than two people together, even with two people together, more than one person. Inevitably, when you get two or more people together, you're going to have some type of conflict,
Yeah.
and sometimes it makes life interesting, sometimes it doesn't. But it's despite all that, I'm thankful that I found my way here, wherever here it might be at this moment in time.
That's right.
All right, I want to read one more to you.
Okay.
All right, remember how I talked about 45 hitting me really hard?
Right.
Well, this is the poem that I'm kind of expressing that.
Okay.
It's called "And Here I Sit," or subtitled "My Mortality Meditation."
Mm.
And here I sit, midway through this life, this old worn cliche that I found to be true, that fate fashioned this way. Like it was already writ down on that ephemeral page. The single sheet we get gets shorter age by age. This life, this one, this one and only that's been, this one, only this, else none. A puzzle complete, not finished again. And here I sit in my mind, my intellect, in my core. I know all around I'll find, as now, as will be, as before. A story told over and over, told since time's fiery dawn. I told a tale told then, now and ever. A tale all tread upon. Not new, profound. No, it's not. Been said, all's been done. In lives remembered until forgot. In this life, this only, this one. And here I sit, I think, I ponder, mull over, meditate, I analyze this life, which, which I wind, I wander, with which I wither, I thrive, has made its turn towards our fate, which go I must, past, slow motion, future, fast forward, memories carved in so much dust, that without notice nor warning, that on the merest whim, the talk tick of time's turning, the end, the inevitable end.
Deep.
Yeah, that's not done. I got one more little section to put with it about it, us being special because we're not special. You know?
Yeah.
You need to go, George. Come here. Come here, George. Come here. Come here, boy. Come here, son. I want to meet you one mother. Come here. Come here, boy. Yeah, I think he needs to go out. So, this is my other one.
Oh, hi there, George.
This is my George. He's my little lover boy. Uh-huh. I think he's got to go potty, so I needs to go.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bryan. We'll do this again because I really want to hear some of your songs and all. We didn't get to that, but this was a great conversation, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Say goodnight, George.
Bye, George.
Bye.
I'll
see everybody tomorrow or Monday or whatever. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.